Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'm going to tell you why LeBron's toughest opponent isn't the Pacers or the Warriors. It's the Kardashians.
And I'm Cowherd, and I'll tell you why there's now proof of the Cleveland Browns, #1 in the NFL, at making horrible decisions. You won't even, it's hard to get your arms around this one. Speak for yourself on a Monday starts now.
I'm going to destroy you in that Browns conversation. Looking forward to that. All right, hello and welcome. Joining us today are Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard and the founder of The Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. We start with the biggest surprise of the playoffs so far. LeBron James had won 21 straight games in the first round until yesterday when the Pacers drubbed the Cavaliers 98-80 behind an impressive 32-point performance from Victor Oladipo and a not-so-impressive performance by the Cavaliers, who were 8 of 34 from three. After the game, both Oladipo and LeBron shared their thoughts or lack thereof.
Vic, a lot of the country, I think, just caught this team for the first time this year. What do you think they're saying about the Pacers tonight?
I have no idea, and I really don't care.
You know, I've always stayed even keel with the postseason. I'm down 0-1 in the first round. I was down 3-1 in the finals. So I'm the last guy to ask about how you're going to feel the next couple of days.
The Cavaliers were down 0-1 right now,
Yeah.
not LeBron. All right, think the Cavs could actually lose the series to the Pacers, Cowherd?
No, LeBron didn't take a shot until the 10th minute. LeBron's got a bunch of new guys. He doesn't really like to practice like he did in his first 5 to 7 years in the league. He experimented. He tried to get the Rodney Hoods and the other players involved. And by the time he looked up, this puppy was in doubt. And it should be noted, Victor Oladipo is not Steph Curry. He looked like him for about an hour and a half, but he's not. Let's take a deep breath. Cavs are going to win the series.
I tend to think the Cavaliers will win the series, but I do think we now have to consider the possibility that they won't. The Pacers beat them 3 or 4 in the regular season. This is not the most, the blowout is a shock, but the Pacers winning is not a shock. And so, look, man, LeBron doesn't have the ideal supporting cast or the ideal team. They're vulnerable. They've been vulnerable all season. They're vulnerable now. Having lost home court advantage in that fashion, their backs are a bit against the wall, and it's not, I've been down, I was down. It's got to be a we situation, because it's going to take more than just LeBron donning a Superman cape to fix this.
Yeah, Cleveland should win this series. I give Indiana a 10% chance, of maybe winning it.
Wow.
Cleveland's got to make some adjustments. You mentioned LeBron not shooting. I'd like to see him come out in Game 2 and punch Indiana in the mouth right away with a huge first quarter. Lay down the law. Let them know, okay, this is the real Cleveland Cavaliers and the real LeBron James. And Ty Lue's got to make some changes. Now, you've been kind of on him recently. He's looking shakier and shakier by the day. Like, first of all, you start a lineup that never started all season, okay? Jose Calderon should be starting. They're 23-9 when he's a starter. 23-9. You're laughing. They're 20-6 when he plays 19 or more minutes. He plays 9 minutes. Larry Nance Jr. should be starting instead of Jeff Green. So I want to see Ty Lue make some adjustments, and they should not have to live or die by the 3.
Well, they tried yesterday.
They do it all. That's their motto. That's what they do now, and they're not Golden State. They're not Houston. They've got guys that can drive and slash. They shouldn't be, if we hit threes, we win. If we miss them, we lose. They should be more balanced than that.
That's a lot of the league right now, though, the three-pointers. But, Chris, listen, I wrote this on The Big Lead today. I believe this was the best thing to happen to the Cavs, getting blown out at home in Game 1. Because, remember, we sat here after that trade, and we said, oh, geez, they got Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood. They're going to the finals. I mean, you were tweeting, Whitlock, I remember, when they beat the Raptors twice last month. Oh, geez, let's just put them in the finals now. The East is a joke. This is a great thing that happened to them, getting just absolutely destroyed at home, booed at home in Game 1. LeBron's never lost a first-round series, I believe, right? Michael Jordan's lost twice, so that'll get mentioned. But I just firmly believe the Rodney Hoods of the world and George Hill, hey, guys, you got to play. LeBron's not going to stand for this. Imagine 2 more days before game 2. All we're going to hear, LeBron, are they in trouble? Are they going to lose? there's no shot, none, that the Cavs lose this series.
And again, you've described, but you haven't told me the why. Why? Because LeBron's going to be
This is a
extra
team
motivated.
that was
You've
gassed
talked
up,
about Jordan Clarkson, and I've seen George Hill in pressure situations in playoff. Who's going to elevate? I mean, beyond LeBron. Maybe LeBron's
Kevin Love is
all
a
you need.
Last
But
year, game 1 of the playoffs for the Cavs, they won by a point. Just think about this. The league, we would all acknowledge, it's gone from people shoot threes to a lot of them to they live and die by them. Of the Warriors' last 17 games, win or lose, or last 20 games, 17 are by blowout, including losses by 20 and 40. If this game was a 1-point game, would we feel the same? Because last year they won by a point on an opener they should have lost to Indiana.
listen, they opened the playoffs with a loss. I really don't care about
Okay,
the
you
margin
don't.
of
Okay,
victory.
all right.
Just because, again, it was at home.
Because I think you're right. I think most people care about the margin. You care about the loss.
Well, at home. And again, I do think the margin says something about their lack of preparedness, and we're about to get into that in terms of they got a lot of distractions going on. They've had a head coach who had to take a health sabbatical. They've had a lot of injuries with this team. And then, and this is our next topic, the Tristan Thompson Kardashian element just adds more. There's a new boss in town at Buffalo Wild Wings, and he deals in bacon. It's the Bacon Boss Burger, featuring bacon 3 different ways and a blanket of white cheese sauce. And he's joined by other new favorites like the smothered cheesesteak quesadilla, sweet chili shrimp, and Alaska cod classic. All pair perfectly with a Sam 76, a fruity ale with the crisp finish of a lager. Hurry in today and try them all before they're gone at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports, available for a limited time while supplies last. Please drink responsibly.
To the other big story that Jason's talking about, Tristan Thompson's week somehow got worse. The Cavs center only played about a minute yesterday, and that was apparently 1 minute longer than he spent with his girlfriend lately. Rumors flying that he cheated on Khloe Kardashian while she was pregnant. Some people think this is essential info. Inside the NBA's Kenny Smith doesn't seem to agree.
They got to play Tristan Thompson, man. I don't care about his love life, man. This dude got to play, man. He's been playing in the rotation for 2 years for you to get into the NBA Finals, and he plays 1 minute and 59 seconds. To me, that doesn't make any sense.
Whitlock, you think this Tristan Thompson, Khloe Kardashian rumor is a distraction?
Look, I want to be respectful when I say this, but we've seen this before with LeBron James and a team trapped in rumors about personal life. We saw this on his way out of Cleveland the first time.
He did.
And so do I think you invite the Kardashians into your world, and I'm not blaming them, I'm blaming more the paparazzi and the media around them. And all of a sudden your personal life starts getting discussed over social media. And then there's other Instagram models who start speculating about Tristan's personal life and other people's personal life. That's not a good work environment. And LeBron James was on the record at the beginning of the season what he thought of the whole Kardashian circus, and I think we have this video.
The show is here. The show is here. Oh, Jim Ice, hello, dude. You see the show? Look at the show gang. There they go.
That's LeBron's Snapchat at the beginning of the season talking about the S show when the Kardashian cameras show up. I just think Cleveland's got a whole lot going on and off the court.
Couldn't I argue Tristan Thompson just doesn't work in today's league? He can't shoot. They're not playing him because he doesn't fit anymore. I mean, again, 3 years ago, you're like, man, he doesn't quite work. Last year, you're like, man, he's a liability. Now they just don't play him. I mean, to me, I wonder if it's just Tristan doesn't fit. He can't shoot.
Yeah, I mean, toward the end of the year, he became like a 12 to 15-minute a game guy. Their last meaningful regular season game, when they lost to Philadelphia, he played 6 minutes. So I don't know if that's a sign of what you said, he doesn't fit for them anymore, or if they think he's distracted. The question, though, is the team. I don't think this should distract the team at all. This is team distraction. I mean, ever since LeBron's been there, whether it's David Blatt, whether it's Kevin Love, whether it's Kyrie Irving, whether it's Ty Lue, You know, I mean, whether it's LeBron and his tweets, they live with distractions all the time and actually excel with distractions. When they were down 3-1, that's a heck of a distraction.
They've only won one title, though, Chris.
But that's one more than they probably should have because they weren't the best team any of those years.
There's no way this is a distraction. Again, this game one was an outlier, Whitlock. You know how many times the Cavs scored under 85 points this season? Once. 82 games. They just had a bad game. As for Tristan Thompson, Ty Lue said right before the playoffs they're going to shorten the rotation. They're going to go from 10 or 11 guys down to 8, and Kyle Korver's injured. So when you shrink the rotation, you need shooters around LeBron. When Jeff Green's not making any shots, as Cowherd said, Tristan Thompson doesn't fit. This is a guy
He said
who was
just the opposite. He said they're going to a 10-man rotation.
Again, but is Tristan Thompson, is he the 11th guy or the 10th guy? Because you need shooting around
let me throw
LeBron.
This to you. One of the reasons I defended Tiger Woods when his life unraveled, I said, that's just what we know about. You think he's the only guy on the PGA Tour that's cheated? All these guys fly private, right? So let me just throw this at you. How do we know there's not a multitude of issues behind the scenes, but it's a Kardashian, so we hear about it?
There's no question.
Well, you know that's how a lot of athletes' lives are.
Yeah.
No, there's no question. Everybody, every team, every man, woman has a level of drama to them, things going on in their lives. This Kardashian thing is an extra level from a player that's may not be worth the baggage. And keep in mind, LeBron James and his agency are the group that wanted Tristan Thompson there and wanted him overpaid. And so I just think, again, if we hadn't seen this already, I believe in 2010, if we haven't seen a distracted Cavaliers team swirled in rumors about people's personal lives, if we hadn't seen that disintegrate, my radar wouldn't be up right now. Again, is that a prediction that they're going to fall apart and not win this series? No. But it is, to me, to say that this isn't a distraction, the kind of rumors that have been floating around about this team, you can't convince me that it's not.
But you saw LeBron's demeanor post-game. I actually thought it was great if you're a Cavs fan because he was cool, he was calm, he didn't lash out at his teammates. He showed confidence. Hey, they're going to bounce back. I think they'll play better. You know, so I did not see any hint of distraction or being angry or we got this mess going on.
I don't know. LeBron is 34 years old, or 33, 34 years old. He's been dealing with this a long time. The fact that he can deal with it after the game doesn't surprise me at all, given his 15 years in the NBA. I'm evaluating the play, the dispirited play on the court, not being ready at the start. LeBron not seeming to be engaged in the first 10, 15 minutes of this game. I'm looking at what's...
Why would they care about... I hate to... I mean, say it that way. Why would they care that Tristan's deal
because the Tristan Thompson rumor hasn't just engulfed Tristan. Again, if you've been following the story, these rumors are everywhere about other married players on the Cavs. Again, this is no different than what happened in 2010.
But again, we're talking about like Larry Nance defending the pick and roll against Oladipo and thinking, oh man, Tristan Thompson, I can't believe he cheated on his wife. Like that doesn't happen. The locker room's not infected.
You're reducing my argument to something I'm not arguing. And I don't want to diminish your NBA locker room experience of what goes on with grown men and athletes. But yes, you can create an environment, particularly when the head coach took a sabbatical. Larry Drew was the interim coach for a time. LeBron's been arguing with the coach. There doesn't seem, they're rolling out a new starting lineup in the damn playoffs. A lineup you just said hasn't been played. This is a team in chaos. And everything.
Chaos before this came out. I mean, every time they got 10 or 11 guys that could play, Ty Lue was experimenting with lineups. He didn't know who to play. This is a team that's always distracted. There's always drama there.
You know what I got from this segment? I need to start buying People magazine. I am way behind you on all this stuff.
Punch this into Google and you'll be shocked at what you find.
Welcome back. Chris Broussard is here. Joining us now, former Super Bowl champ Brian Cox. To a topic involving both the NFL and NBA. NBA playoffs got off to a hot start ratings-wise Saturday, up 17% from last year. Best opening Saturday in 5 years. This has many people pointing out to a double standard. NBA ratings up despite many of its players being outspoken politically. Meanwhile, NFL ratings are down because, as some people claim, its players have become more outspoken. The Lakers' Kyle Kuzma, one of those who pointed out the double standard, he responded to a post on Twitter about NBA ratings saying, quote, "But the NFL says sticking to just sports keeps the brand strong. Hashtag stay woke, guys." Whitlock, you agree with the Lakers' Kyle Kuzma?
No, and I would like to ask Kyle, what world is he living in? Because it's the NBA that has basically this year stayed out of politics, and it's the NFL that had 300 players taking a knee, 300 or the damn near entire league bickering with Donald Trump. The NFL has been far more political than the NBA over the past year. And so it's the NBA, the expectations when you go to an NBA game are, oh, I'm gonna see a basketball game and be entertained. You're not going to a political rally. What players do on their free time or with their T-shirts in warm-ups is one thing. But the NFL became highly politicized, and the NBA is not politicized. I have no idea what Kyle Kuzma's talking about.
Is it possible the NBA ratings are up because currently the content's real good? Forget the top stars like LeBron and Durant. There's about 25 great players under 25. Ratings generally in sports are connected to content. I remember when Marino, Elway, Joe Montana's careers were ending, and there was a 2-year dip when the numbers went down. Then they found the new quarterbacks, and it rose. The NBA content right now, you got a dynasty, you got a record-setting team in Houston, you've got LeBron, Ben Simmons looks like the next Magic. I think the NBA's ratings are up because I like the product right now.
In the NBA, the players are standing for the anthem. Now, they are being outspoken. Kevin Durant, LeBron James went in on Donald Trump. And as you mentioned, you have white men, respected white men speaking up on these issues. It's not just the black guys like it is for the most part in the NFL.
Hold on for 1 second, though. The conversation was clear about Kuzma talking about ratings and what people's expectations are when they go to a game and when they sit down to watch. You guys are talking about things that are going on in post-game.
But it's still associated with the players?
I understand, but we're talking about what people's expectations are. And again, we've had a bunch of NFL players, far more NFL players, be more outspoken than basketball.
Kneeling.
Okay.
I don't know that they've been more outspoken. They've knelt down.
Malcolm Jenkins.
Okay.
We can go through a whole Kaepernick, who ain't in the league. Eric Reed. We could
name as many basketball players and coaches.
Let's talk about more people are comfortable watching the NBA games because the political atmosphere is removed. But what I'm saying, I agree with you on that point. But what I'm saying on the whole thing of it, it is a better product. But they have white guys who speak on the topic. They have people coming together more in the NBA on the deal, and they're doing it in a fashion that they stand, as you pointed out. But to me, it's all tied together in one big subject. You got to talk about it wholeheartedly.
Let me just go back to the question. Kyle Kuzma saying sticks to sports isn't helping the NFL. The NFL's got 7 times the ratings of the NBA. So let's put this in context. The NFL's a mile ahead. They're Amazon.com, and the NBA is, a nice business in the corner, Starbucks. It's a great business. So the NFL's king and always will be in my lifetime. It had 85 million more people watch the Super Bowl than the NBA Finals. The question becomes, let's just stick to this. Is politics hurting the NFL brand? I think if you drive around rural America, you see a lot of flags. The NFL has always wrapped their arms around the military. NBA, not necessarily. NFL, you drive around that's what they do, right? Okay, so do I think the kneeling offended some Americans because the NFL and military, they're tied at the hip. They've grabbed onto that for 20 years. The NBA has never gone out to say, hey, we have the military. That's not their brand. So I do think politics dinged 8%, 6% the NFL. I just don't think the NBA's tied to that.
I also just don't think, to finish your point though, I don't think the NBA's politics, whatever they are, I don't think they're enhancing the ratings at all. I think the product is better.
It is
the
good.
storylines are more interesting, and so they've seen a bump in ratings. I don't think it's tied to politics, and that's not me disavowing the politics of the NBA. But Kyle Kuzma and others seem to think that the NBA's politics are the reason. This is why our ratings are growing, and the NFL's are going down because of their politics. That's a false narrative.
I think his message really is that we can still be political and it not negatively affect us. I don't know that he's saying this has boosted our popularity, but I think he's saying we can speak out and it not hurt us.
Okay.
And I think with the NFL too, though, we're assuming this drop is related to players kneeling. It could be related to concussions. It could be related to there are African Americans who are boycotting the NFL because of Kaepernick.
Well, the biggest reason I would say would be the kneeling and then the game. You don't know what's a catch and what's not a catch, and you can't hit anybody anymore. So in the name of protecting players and player safety, it's not about the NFL protecting those players. It's about protecting the youth league because, as you know, when the numbers go down in the youth and in high school, parents don't let their kids play ball, you have less athletes. So that to me is the bigger problem.
But did you watch any NBA this weekend?
No.
Okay, I did, and I got to tell you, I watched it for Ben Simmons. I wanted to see that show. I watched it to see D'Antoni and the Rockets, and I watched it because the Warriors are a dynasty. So I watched because of the players. I'm not going to give politics credit. I think the players deserve the credit. I think this league has fascinating players right now.
All right, welcome back. Brian Cox is back. Joining us now is former Rams and Saints linebacker James Laurinaitis. To the NFL, where if you're a Patriots hater, this must be like Christmas to you. The rumors of discord keep growing as Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady did not attend the start of the team's offseason program. Meanwhile, former Patriots and current Dolphins receiver Danny Amendola is now openly criticizing Bill Belichick's decision to bench cornerback Malcolm Butler during the Super Bowl, a decision that may have cost them the game. Here's Amendola with ESPN's Mike Reese.
One of our best players wasn't on the field, and to tell you the truth, I don't know why. I did ask, but I didn't get any answers, and I can't make decisions like that, so I don't really necessarily worry about it, but I know Malcolm's a great player, and he could have helped us win. It's not easy, that's for sure. He's an sometimes, but a lot of things I didn't like about playing for him, but I must say the things that I didn't like were all in regard to getting the team better, and I respected him.
All right, Cowherd, as your hero, Bill Belichick lost control of the Patriots.
I would say he's more vulnerable than ever. Gronk going to social media, Brady in Qatar missing camp, Danny Amendola saying things I've never heard a player say. Listen, powerful companies don't last forever. Okay, trees don't grow to the sky. Powerful people certainly don't last forever. So there's a time, there's a story arc to the presidents, senators, CEOs, and I do believe as Brady is aged, Gronk is near retirement, the Malcolm Butler moment, I think Bill is a little more vulnerable than he's ever been.
Dumbest decision in Super Bowl history.
Now, that's a bit much.
Malcolm Butler forever. Dumber than Eugene Robinson's Saturday night decision before the Super Bowl. This was stupid, and it's costing Bill Belichick the respect of a lot of players. I think Jeff Darlington was on ESPN today saying that Tom Brady may not report to any voluntary workouts this offseason. It's not just about being in Qatar. He may not do any of the voluntary program. You got Gronkowski up in the air about whether he's going to play. You got respected former players. Again, this Butler decision was stupid, and it's damaged Bill Belichick.
Well, I think that's where he crossed the line. When you look at what the Patriots and the players that I've spoken to that have played for him and have been in that locker room, they say the one thing about Bill is that he always holds everybody accountable. Now, whether that's Tom Brady, whether that's Danny Amendola, if you screw up in a team meeting, he's going to hold you accountable. He's going to call you out. Well, when you're in the Super Bowl and you give no explanation to your team, and a lot of those guys haven't been there for this dynasty, Tom and Bill have, but if that's my one shot to go for the Super Bowl, and you don't give me an explanation why one of our best corners isn't playing against a team that's moved the ball through the air pretty well, that's going to get my blood boiling a little bit.
I don't buy it. I'm just saying, you know, people are trying to sell the stories and frame the stories. Bill Belichick is in control, and Danny Amendola left New England before he started to say something negative. If he was still there, he wouldn't have said anything. So to me, there's always a rhyme and reason. I played 2 years for the guy when he was my coordinator, 1 year as a head coach. He's direct. He has his hand on the pulse. And to me,
Why hasn't he explained this, Brian?
He don't need to.
Well, of course he
don't need to.
He doesn't know. He holds everybody accountable but himself. He makes a decision that blew up in his face, and he don't have to explain to nobody.
What if it was something damaging that nobody needs to know? It's a team issue. And so while bringing it out, bringing it to light ain't going to help you win the Super Bowl now. You lost it, but you can't tell me that it wasn't important enough to him that he win the Super Bowl and break the record with, you know, the all-time great for the most Super Bowls. I mean, it's that important. So to me, it's a non-issue. And the Gronk thing, that's a Drew Rosenhaus one-on-one. He's trying to get a new contract. It doesn't play with Belichick. So miss training camp. We don't care. But when you come in, you play for us or you play for nobody.
But Brian, Brady's obviously, you know, he's like an NBA star, has Tom moves, the C moves.
Right.
If he doesn't show up to camp, isn't that a message?
No.
Isn't that a little bit of a message?
No. If you remember last year, the whole thing about the workout guy and not having this guy there, Tom's going to work out with this guy because he believes in that product. But at the end of the day, it'll get whoever the backup quarterback the opportunity to take all those reps that Tom will be getting. He doesn't call Tom Brady Tom Brady. He's a what's up champ. So that quarterback head coach relationship has been the most dominant we've seen. So it's not going to be a big deal at the end of the day. It's not going to be.
This is the first time that we've seen these stories leak out of New England. I mean, it's usually a steel trap in there when it comes to disgruntled players. You might have heard it hearsay, but we're talking about reports about Gronk getting called out in front of the team because of working with Tom's guru. And you know this from playing. There's always some kind of distrust anyway between a player and a team doctor and what the team's intentions are with them. And now you're going to call me out in front of the team for using the same guy that our star quarterback uses. I can see where that kind of gets.
No, it's not an issue because I've been in that room. Yeah. And I've been in there when Tom Brady's got put on the screen and called out. I've been on the screen called out. It is what it is. The way he does it is he calls them public hangings. If he can do it to the superstar, then you as just a...
Well, who gets to hang Belichick is my question. Again, he gets to do whatever the hell he wants.
Trust me. There's no smarter coach, there's no harder working coach in the league than this guy, the best coach
Would you deny
ever.
that people, there is pushback? I mean, like, to your point, whether you like a president or not, if there's a bunch of leaks in the White House, it's problematic. Our current White House has a lot of leaks, okay? There's a lot of stuff coming out now that never came out.
The only stuff that comes out from within, and Mendola, like I said, is no longer there, so he can speak up, is stuff that Bill lets out of that building.
That Alex Guerrero stuff.
Brian, I knew you as an NFL player.
Yeah.
So you tell me you get to the Super Bowl and your defense gets lit up and your best corner sits on the sidelines the entire game. And Brian Cox, the player, not the assistant NFL coach, doesn't want an explanation for that.
I completely trust what Bill says. That's the honest to God truth. That's the most honest answer I can give you. He's by far the smartest coach and the best coach in the NFL. Who am I to question him?
All right.
And like in
Where's
the
that? Where's that? If you saying get out, I'm gonna do you like I do the former Patriots player.
No,
Snap out of it. Belichick ain't here.
We've had. I was a member of the captain's club when we go in there. Now, was some drag out, knock you down, cuss you out sessions where I could say anything as a player. Lawyer Malloy had run-ins. Drew Bledsoe had run-ins, and we would really go after and challenge him on some things. Sometimes he yielded to us, and sometimes he said, this is where it's going to be. And that was the end of it.
To the NFL draft, which is now just 10 days away. It's here on Fox. If you're a quarterback hoping to get drafted this year, this might be the scariest thing you'll ever hear. A report says the dumpster fire known as the Browns are not looking to draft a quarterback with the first and fourth pick. The first and fourth pick, two of them. Horrifying, I know. First and fourth picks. They take two quarterbacks. Whitlock. Brilliant or ridiculous?
Brilliant. And Cowherd, you've been married twice. I guarantee you didn't date one woman before you got married, you dated a multitude to see who you liked the best. And so if they have a chance to date 2 quarterbacks to find their franchise quarterback, why not? It's hard. It's the hardest decision to make in football, and if you get a chance to do it twice, why not?
First of all, when I was married to one, the other one wasn't in the house. Okay, you have to trust your instincts as a coach, even as a quarterback. I drop back, I trust my film study. As a linebacker, I work all week on my film study. Trust my instincts and go. Can't be hesitant. You're an organization. You've had the last 12 months, because you knew Deshaun Kaiser, even when you drafted him, you knew he was a project, right? You're not going to trust your instincts? So I'm going to bring Sam Darnold in.
Not my instincts.
2 picks later, I pick another quarterback, which, by the way, don't those young quarterbacks need every snap for 2 years? Now you're going to have 2 young guys.
Oh, is that what Garoppolo got? Every snap? Did he get every snap, or did he?
Since the San Francisco 49ers acquired him, he's getting all the snaps.
I'm talking about his development was in New England without getting every snap.
Wow. Cleveland doesn't need just one guy. They need 10.
There's no way you take a quarterback at 1-4. Look, they trade for Tyrod Taylor. You already have a guy in the building. You only need one. You don't want the guy constantly looking over himself, not only with a guy like Tyrod in there who's proven, but now you have another rookie at 4. I'm just saying.
Iron sharpens iron.
But look, if you look at the Browns roster, you're 1-31 over 2 years. You have more issues than just that quarterback. Yeah,
Yes.
It's the biggest position on the roster, but you have defensive end you can improve. You have running back you can improve. You have left tackle you can improve. D tackle. Go across that roster. When you're 1-31, you have a lot of holes.
Improve them all and miss on the quarterback, which you
can miss on 2. You can miss on both of them, and then you're out by game 4.
Here's my thing. John Dorsey is a smart guy. He's doing the picking. They've already said that Tyrod Taylor is the starter. Why draft a quarterback if you don't need it, especially if Tyrod is your starter? The second thing is you're trying to drum up trade requests because the teams behind you, like the Jets that want a quarterback, if you say you're taking 2, they got to get up in the picture and give you something to get your picks. The second thing is if you feel good about Tyrod Taylor, you go and you take Barkley and you take Chubb in whatever order you want to, and you still get the 2 players that you want. You help your defense out. You get the pass rusher you want to help out with Myles Garrett. You get a running back that everybody says is the next greatest, and you playing with Tyrod Taylor.
Hold on, Brian.
And what if you take in the second round? What if you take in the second round Lamar Jackson?
Brian, Hugh Jackson watches this show.
Yeah,
you know
but
how
he ain't
mad
the boss.
he is at
He
you
ain't the
right
boss.
now. You want him
He
to
ain't the
play
boss.
with Tyrod Taylor when his career's on the line as a head coach?
He ain't the boss. Dorsey runs that organization.
John Dorsey.
Tyrod Taylor.
No, listen. You can't be in a division with Big Ben and that personnel and say Tyrod Taylor's my future. Tyrod's been in the league. He's an IC plus guy. He's okay. You're not getting to the next level with Tyrod.
Okay.
You're just not.
Well, what if you were in a situation where you drafted Lamar Jackson, who's just like Tyrod Taylor? You run some option plays with Todd Haley coming over. The defense is already coming into play.
Is that beating
so you're
Deshaun
gonna
Watson,
be good.
Andrew Luck, Big Ben, Brady? You're talking about legendary talent.
But you got about 15 picks in the first 4 rounds, so
Yeah,
you're going to get some players and you're going to get young.
I want 2 quarterbacks. He wants no quarterbacks. And Tyrod Taylor. Hugh Jackson, good luck.
Welcome back. Chris Broussard, Jason McIntyre are back to the hottest team in the league, the Sixers, who ran their winning streak to 17 with a 27-point blowout of the overwhelmed Miami Heat, 130-103. Philly not only scored the most points of any team this weekend, shot the best three-point percentage, an unconscious 64%, and they did it all without their injured star Joel Embiid. Whitlock, should the Sixers now be the favorites to win the East?
You know, when I woke up this morning, I thought that was crazy, and then I just started. They're on a 17-game winning streak. Joel Embiid's not even playing, but he's going to come back in the playoffs. Ben Simmons looks like the next Magic Johnson, and the Cavaliers are vulnerable, and Toronto's a fraud. So I don't think it's far-fetched if someone wants to make that argument.
Well, they're the most fun, athletic, exciting team in the East. Boston Stars are gone. Milwaukee Star doesn't produce W's. And LeBron doesn't have really a second star. I understand how you watch them. I mean, I did this weekend, and their tempo, and their speed, and their length, and their shooting, and you're like, that's the best team. But the NBA history shows us that as you go further in the playoffs, young kids don't always play at that level. So I would still say a Toronto or LeBron win it. But it is impossible to watch the Sixers and not take a step back and go, they look like the longest, most athletic team here. Remember, guys, they're a different team. They didn't have two of these three-ball shooters when the season began. So this isn't the same team that I thought would win 38 games. Their deficiency is now really a strength. They shoot the three very well.
I like how you covered up your early season prediction. There was a reason for it. Look, I'm still going with the Cavaliers, and I'll admit some of it's just blind faith in LeBron James. I mean, until I see him get beat in the weak Eastern Conference, I'm going to bet on him. But if I was a Martian and I got dropped down into Earth and I watched these two teams for the past 2 weeks or something, I would say that Philadelphia team is the best in the East.
Yeah.
They have a great point guard who makes everybody better. As you said, he is the next Magic. You got a big man that nobody in the East can contend with. You got a number of shooters. They're second in the league in defense, or third in the league in defense. Like, they've got it all. The only thing that could keep them from winning the East is LeBron James or their youth, in my opinion.
Yeah, they can win the East, but favorites, Whitlock? I think it was the great wrestler Ric Flair who said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And until they take down LeBron, they can't be the favorites. Absolutely not. I know Ben Simmons is great. Even with an Embiid being healthy, I don't think you can make them the favorites. In the NBA playoffs, Broussard, you know this. You've got to crawl before you can walk and then run. You take steps. These Sixers have never won a playoff series. This is one game.
But remember, there have been years in sports, like, that things work. Yeah. There are Rex Grossman gets to the Super Bowl, and there was a series of injuries in the playoff. You start looking at the East. If Kyrie and Gordon Hayward were, I wouldn't pick them.
Yes.
If you know, I mean, when you start looking at the Raptors, the way they're built,
They're not a great.
Yeah, I mean, like, this may be, because, by the way, I think by next year, when Boston has all the components, they'll be the favorite. But when I watch them, they look so physically superior to Miami. I mean, it wasn't close.
To the reigning champs, there was a lot of talk that without the injured Steph Curry, Golden State just isn't the same unbeatable team. Then the playoffs started. The Warriors clobbered the Spurs 113-92, causing Spurs coach Greg Popovich to say his team looked like a deer in the headlights. After the game, the Warriors' Draymond Green had a message for the doubters.
We're a championship ball club. You know, we know what it takes this time of year in order to win. And you know, we want to get back to that regardless of what everyone's saying. The Warriors has lost it. They're not together. They can't win without Steph. They're not the same team. Blase, 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 blah, blah, blah.
All right, Cowherd, you think the Warriors have flipped the switch?
Defensively, I was shocked. They were great, and they have been for 2 months apathetic, barely cared, marginally interested. I was surprised at the level of the intensity of their defense was that spot on.
The only thing that shocked me was that Earl Watson convinced me that the Spurs had a chance. If Earl Watson hadn't convinced me last week the Spurs had a chance, nothing surprising about this past weekend. The Warriors look like a great team, and the Spurs look like someone waiting for Kawhi Leonard to get healthy.
Yeah, I think they have flipped the switch. I won't belittle it because Kawhi's not there. Because San Antonio, you still can't take them lightly, even without Kawhi. But I expected them to beat San Antonio in the first round. I still don't think, flip switched or not, they can win it all without a healthy Steph Curry. And so that's what I expect.
Yeah, I don't buy into this flip switch business, okay? This is a Spurs team that stinks. They're under 500 since January 1st. This is not a good Spurs team at all. And the Warriors trotted out a lineup that had not played together all season with Iguodala and JaVale McGee starting. Steve Kerr threw a wrinkle at Popovich, and Popovich came out and was like, I don't know what to do. And the Warriors took the lead early and the game was over. I'm not fully into this flip switch thing, but the Warriors are still
He does make a point. Tony Parker has not had a great year. Kawhi's not there. Manu's 40. They don't have a ton of depth. You could make the argument that we're overreacting to what has been
a horrible team on the road. A horrible team on the road, the Spurs.
Yeah.
And so, again, I didn't think the Spurs had a chance until last week. Earl Watson made a very compelling case that fooled me and cost me money.
You listen to Earl Watson.
Yeah.
Come on.
And so, again, I just don't think anything surprising happened here. Golden State blew out a bad Spurs team. All right, time for last call. And the question that is dividing NBA fans, is this step-back three by James Harden an impressive move or just a blatant case of traveling? Colin, what side are you on?
Oh, it's traveling, but Magic Johnson palmed the ball, and Michael Jordan traveled, and the NBA has always been very liberal in its description of traveling for stars.
Yeah, well, I just think traveling in general, you get 3 or 4 steps in the NBA, and so no, based on the NBA standard of traveling, when it's not a 2-step league, it's a 3 or 4-step league. This isn't remotely controversial or traveling. It's James Harden's patented move. It's like the Euro step. Again, out of nowhere, the Euro step became a thing that everyone praises and is a great thing, but I think under the traditional rules of basketball, the Euro step is traveling.
Listen, you know how like in business for years and years, they allowed you to write off business lunches, and everybody knew they weren't business lunches. And our country, our government's like, yeah, whatever. This is a yeah, whatever to me. Like the league is just sort of accepted.
Well, it's certainly a business decision that James is making, whether it's a business lunch or not. But yeah, that's his business. He's giving the guy the business. That's how he makes his business with the step-back three-pointer. All right, to another NBA debate. Last year, the Pacers traded Paul George to the Thunder in exchange for Victor Oladipo and another player. At the time, many people thought the Pacers made a terrible deal. Well, this weekend, both George and Oladipo put up big numbers and led their teams to victories. Cowherd, who has a better chance of sustaining his impressive play?
Paul George is the better two-way player. Now, I think playing with Westbrook is a challenge at times. And so there's a narrative out there that Paul George has had a down year. Yesterday, there were 9 minutes he was on the floor without Westbrook. He had 16 points. He remains a very good defensive player. Oladipo is a good player who had a great game.
Oladipo's an all-star, Colin.
In the East.
I'm sorry, is that not good, being an all-star in the East?
Well, it's not an all-star in the West.
Paul George, for the point you're making, he's got to play alongside Russell Westbrook. Who knows if he'll be in position to do what he did yesterday again.
Okay, Paul
Victor
George...
Oladipo is going to have the ball and be the man on the Indiana Pacers.
If these two guys are in the open market.
That's not the point. Who has a better chance of sustaining their play during this postseason? Oladipo. The ball's going to be in his hands. It's his team. He's a great player. He's an all-star.
All right.
Paul George had a game for the ages for him. Next time he hits 8-11 threes, call me.
I just don't like the question.
What?
Because the answer I like, which is Paul George is better. I didn't like the question.
That wasn't the question. Can't sustain it.
See ya.